Getting out date always makes it feel like really real and like, oh right, we're going to the Olympics, like we're getting our kit. Just really cool seeing that and being like, I'm really proud to be part of Team GB and like wear this kit.
This is the outfitting of the Olympic team. It's an interesting and important moment for us because this is the first time that athletes step into our environment. They step into Team GB's environment. We take 7 or 8 people through an hour, plenty of time for them to try on the kit, make sure they look good in it, they feel good in it, that they're comfortable in it.
It's like a moment of reflection as well, to say like, congratulations, you've made it, you've earned this kit, wear it with pride. That's like the motto.
The purpose of it really is quite simple, and that's to make them feel very confident about what we're providing for them, in particular the competition wear. So they feel very confident going out of here, they feel excited, they feel comfortable that they're part of Team GB.
I want to lap it up, wave to the crowd, blow kisses to my boyfriend or something, and just really embrace every single moment.
This is Izzy Thorpe, a Team GB artistic swimmer and part of the Paris 2024 duet.
And this is Kate Shulman, the other half of the Team GB Paris 2024 artistic swimming duet. For underwater, we're always counting the music. So when the music's on, we've got to be counting every beat so that we're in sync. We can't really communicate.
We can hold our breath for about 3 minutes to 3.5 minutes. But then, yeah, in a routine, we wouldn't hold our breath for more than 30 seconds because you have to think you're like physically exerting yourself so much.
We do 2 routines, a free routine and a technical routine. For this swim, we're probably underwater for like 1:50 seconds. So we're holding our breath for that much time during the whole routine, whilst being very out of breath and then trying to make it look nice as well.
It's always been on the cards. They had sort of a certain buzz about them when they were really young. Everyone wanted to come and watch them.
So we have known each other for a very long time. Probably, I want to say 16 years, 15 years? Around 15 years. So we met when we were like 5 maybe, and then just been swimming together ever since really.
I didn't really realise how good I was at the sport. I was just kind of enjoying it, and my eyes were always set on Kate. We always wanted to beat each other when we were younger. I don't know if it's the same for you, but I never really thought about anything else.
I feel like you still don't realise how good you are. I feel like she's very humble.
Stop it.
It's easy for them to get completely absorbed and swamped in what we're doing here, but I also need to make sure that they're not overthinking their performance all the time. They're just thinking about what they need to do when we're here and then having a bit of downtime when they're away from here.
These are incredible elite sportsmen and women who are doing exceptional things that the general public don't really see for the bulk of the 4-year cycle, because these sports don't gather that much attention during the cycle, and then suddenly they're thrust front and centre for the big occasion, and you learn their backstories and you realise that they are incredibly relatable. They're like you and I, they're like the everyday people.
My name is Desiree Henry. I am a 2-time European gold medalist, World Youth Championship medalist, Olympic bronze medalist, and I am a professional athlete for Great Britain. I compete in the 100, 200 metres, as well as the 4x100 metre relay. I literally just wanted to be like my sister. She just so happened to be doing athletics at the time, and I was just going to all of her competitions, watching her win and think, wow, like this is amazing.
It's a sport that you're spending a lot of it dealing with having to assess how to get better, how to turn up to races, how to take defeats, how to problem solve, how to stay in the game mentally. And it's one of those sports that you can't rely on your teammates to pull you out of trouble.
The race that really made me think that I could turn this into a career was in 2011. It was the World Youth Championships in France. I was 15 years old, very nervous. I got to the final of the 200 meters and I just remember kind of blacking out in the first maybe half of the race. Whoa, I'm in the lead. Oh my gosh, I can actually win this. Okay, keep your arms moving, like don't panic. I'm getting closer to the line and no one still got me. And then eventually crossing the line, it was like, oh my gosh, I won. It was an incredible feeling. That was like the deciding moment of, okay, now what's next? I like this feeling. I want to chase it. If there's a career that I can, continue to do this, then I'm going to do it.
I always knew who Des was. Very talented junior, had a real rapid progression into international athletics, did exceptionally well, won a Rio medal at 2016, and then went through quite a difficult period, 2017 into 18 into 19.
She's just got what it takes just to be a winner, so exceptionally proud of her.
My family have been so involved in my athletics, especially early on. It just even started from, saying to them that I want to be a sprinter. I think I even had like a speech prepared in my head just in case they were like, oh no, try something else. But especially for my mum and my dad, it was just like, okay, like what equipment do you need?
I've been going to her races since she was 11, so you always have the nerves and the butterflies. The moment they line up and then the gun goes off, your stomach's churning, you're nervous with her. I feel exhausted. I feel I've run the race with you.
What really impressed me about Des when I wasn't coaching her was the fact that she reached quite high heights early on and then had to deal with some setbacks.
Like many athletes know, injuries isn't just a physical thing. It changed my whole life. It's just a factual thing of, if you can't perform and run well, I'm sorry, but we've got to move on to the next. And I think that's like a very difficult time, not just for myself, but many athletes, because then you start questioning your identity.
The current funding system works very well if you are funded. If you're not on funding, then it can really feel like a two-tier structure. Either you're inside or you're stuck on the outside. UK Sport have tried to change how they've gone about things.
UK Sport is relatively young in organisation terms, around 30 years or so. There will never be enough money to go around. It's not easy, and it shouldn't feel easy, because you have to make some really hard decisions that will have big effects on people's lives, livelihoods and careers.
The financial situation is always a bugbear for us because it's frustrating. We've tried to prove that we are, a strong sport.
They base the coming cycle off what you've done in the previous cycle, so for next year it will be based off this year.
Every 4 years, the way that the funding is decided gets looked at. It gets, broken down all over again. Was this right? Were there any unintended consequences from decisions that need to be made?
When the UK Sport guy came and told us that we were getting funding, we both started tearing up because we were just so like, oh my God, like it was, thank you. Because we'd never had it before, and like it just feels like an extra support, but also such a privilege because the sport is something that we both really enjoy and we love it, and we were doing it without money anyway, but to have that added benefit of a salary, it was just like such a good feeling because it just meant that it's more sustainable.
We're very lucky because we're both living at home still, so we don't have to pay for rent, or not as much as if we were living away from home by ourselves. Obviously you've still got everything like your food, your petrol, driving to and from the pool.
If you are fortunate enough to be on UK Sport funding, then the structures tend to be in place for you. So you will have a coach, you will have access to physio, you will have access to strength and conditioning coaches, nutritionists, physiotherapists, all sorts of different people who can help you on your journey, which is why being on UK Sport funding is so much more important than just the cash that goes in your pocket.
It takes that stress off. If you're really passionate about your sport, you don't need money to be doing your sport. We're just super lucky that we've been able to receive this funding and take the pressure off of it.
We've only been on it for 1 year, and I think we can see in our results like it's been a massive upward trajectory since we've been on it. It has also like alleviated that pressure as well of trying to find a part-time job or do bits on the side. Like it was just too much.
The sport itself gets minimal funding and support really, so something we're always trying to fight for, and I'm always trying to sort out additional grants and trying to find money to help and support what we're doing, because it is, as I say, a thriving sport, but if there's no top level, then there's nothing for those athletes to be aspiring towards. We are a creative sport. There is a place for creative sports within the Olympic Games, and it's hard for them to be seen as an athlete the same as a speed swimmer or the same as, you know, somebody running on the athletics track.
Historically, in Britain, athletes have not been financially rewarded for winning Olympic medals. Some countries do financially reward their athletes, some quite handsomely so. The IOC, the International Olympic Committee, do not give out any money alongside medals, but actually World Athletics for Paris 2024 have become the first sports governing body who have said that they're going to offer financial incentives to Olympic medalists, which has caused a bit of a controversy because the Olympics has always supposedly been about striving to be the best without doing it for financial reasons. There is a lot of unhappiness amongst athletes across every single sport who compete at the Olympics with regards the financial compensation that they receive for being the stars of the show. Without them, there would be no Olympics.
I would say that my journey when it comes to sponsorship and support has been up and down. Very early on, I got a lot of help and support from sponsors, even just being interested in me. As a result of having injuries, having knee surgeries in particular, I went from having multiple sponsors to not having any sponsors. A lot of athletes, that's all we're looking for, that opportunity just to be able to train back full time, because we know what we can achieve, but we also know the reality is that things are expensive and we do need that financial help and support. For individuals to get on funding, the whole idea for them is who can get a medal or who can at least get into a final at a major championship. I've been able to get a medal, but the hardest thing is maintaining it and securing a medal for them year after year after year.
If you are not on funding, not only do you not have the money to train, you're not paid to train, so you have to find other sources of income, but also you don't have access to that type of medical support. You don't have access to these coaches who might be paid by the governing body, so you might have to find a way of paying them yourself.
I know that bills have to be paid, my coaches need to be paid, my team needs to be paid, so I just took on the initiative of getting a job.
The world of track and field is not a place which is inundated with a lot of money, and there isn't a lot of money to go around. And do I think they're doing enough? I just don't think they've got enough to do something with. I've always told my athletes, never sit and complain about the fact that you're not getting something. Go away and get it yourself, because you can't ever rely on people to give you something. The reason I knew that Des was going to survive in this sport is at the end of a very difficult season last year, we were rebuilding, we were putting parts together. It didn't go how she wanted it to go. She didn't get the success immediately, but I just remember sitting at home and getting a phone call from her and saying, right, what's this going to take? And I said, it's going to take this, this and this. And she said, okay, I'm going to get a sponsor. And she said, I'll give you a call back in a couple of weeks. And she gave me a call back. And I almost couldn't believe what she's saying. She said, I've met somebody.
She works for a company called Domestic and General. It's an insurance company. We were just having a very open and honest conversation about my plans for the future. And I'm just explaining to her, you know, all the training that I'm doing. But at that time, I'm also working. She was just like, how is this possible? And I'm just like, the reality is, I don't have any major sponsors and I'm kind of making it work sort of thing. And after speaking to her, she just kind of left and said, we're going to change that.
We attended a Next Generation Summit to help young women really find ambition. We met her there and she talked about her incredible journey and she inspired us. I love athletics, by the way, so that's good. That was a big tick. And then we learned a little bit about what we could do and how we could help.
As many athletes I'm sure have heard, many people say, oh yeah, I'm going to get you sponsorship, I'm going to get you support. And I just thought, this sounds great, but we'll see what happens.
From my perspective was, what do we have to do to help this person on the terms that they need it? So start with what helps them. And then later, if we get some benefit from that, fine. We sat down and said, okay, what do you need at each step of the way? It could be an air ticket, it could be paying for the coach, it could be subsidising a particular type of dietary regime. It could be membership to particular gyms or whatever it is. When you break it down, all those daily expenses that perhaps you and I have, which we don't think twice about because we're earning, we're in a job, suddenly you don't, and then, okay, well, how do you take that stress away?
From having those meetings very, very fast, I was able to quit my job, go into training full time, and it went from I'm trying to get back to the Paris Olympics to now I've really got a shot. I've been able to go on training camps, which means that I'm competing against other girls internationally that are going to be potential competitors.
We were lucky to find Desiree, but there are a lot of Desirees out there. I'm sure Desiree wouldn't mind me saying that, right? But there are lots of people out there who are ambitious, who perhaps aren't getting the funding from public bodies that they need. That's where business can play a role.
The Olympics overall is the biggest spectacle, in the world. It's once every 4 years. It commands a huge amount of attention, and the audiences are just really engaged. So I think from a CMO's perspective, you need to really look at how do you maximise your investment in the Olympics. It really allows your brand to come to life through those different athletes. Fuse is a global sport and entertainment agency. We're part of the Omnicom Media Group, and we help our clients plan and execute their investment in sport and entertainment. For the Olympics, a typical campaign would start the year before. We would obviously do those deals for those athletes and then really try to understand those human stories, then start sort of trying to map that against a brand's particular narrative. Some of these athletes who are pretty much unknown at the moment, coming out of the Olympics, they're a nation sweetheart. So I will imagine lots and lots of brands doing lots of deals in September after the Olympics as well to capitalise on that moment of celebration.
We've got a whole host of our partners and sponsors and donors who have got lots and lots of different activations. So NatWest and Aldi and British Gas and Adidas. Adidas have been with us since 1984, so it's a fantastic supporter, and have just re-signed to 32 up to 2032.
So as an example, for Paris 2024, in the UK, Fuse is working with British Gas, who have been using a number of athletes in their Above the Line campaign to promote products and services. The beauty of working with athletes ahead of the Olympics is the opportunity to do storytelling. If you look at the values of the Olympic movement, which is around excellence, it's around friendship, and it's about, trust. Brands coming into the Olympics has changed. I think traditionally, 10 years ago, your top partners was very much an automotive, it was an insurance, it was a consultant, it was a bank. So very traditional categories in sponsorship. However, now I think it's really diversified. If you look at Team GB, actually you've got a peanut butter, you've got a bed maker, you've got a bank, you've got so many different things, and you've got TikTok as well.
Is there a contract? Yes, there is, but it's very super light. It's difficult to naturally run an ROI on an investment into an individual. What you're doing is you're inspiring your own team to actually give back more. So actually you get better outputs from your own company. We get better engagement from the community.
It's not so much they want me to, go to the Paris Olympics. That's obviously the ideal goal, but I think I just liked that they believed in me and my story.
We've got more experience as athletes, and we're definitely mentally in a better place this time, I think, to really try and push for a medal, push for a really good result.
A lot of excitement, we feel really well prepared, we've worked really hard.
We just hope that she does the very best that she can, and we'll be right behind her.
There is a joy in thinking that even in 10 years' time, if I don't achieve anything between now and then, I'm still an Olympic medalist. This is still the greatest thing.
That was my identity. For right or wrong, I was defined by how fast I ran. To have not even made the team, I just couldn't comprehend it.
You've gone from being anonymous to suddenly being something akin to a celebrity, and then you go back to something resembling anonymity.
I was really in a tough spot. I found myself going, well, hold on, I've got no education, I've got no work experience, and I've got tons of credit card debt. Well, what on earth am I going to do?
Athletes are now more aware about planning for life after sport than probably they were 10, 15 years ago. For me, it was always so important to think about that, because you just don't know when your sporting career is going to come to an end.
It doesn't matter how successful you are as an athlete or how long or how short your career is. Once you start, the one guarantee is that at some point it will stop.
I'm glad I did reach that crucible moment, if you will, because obviously it did sort of change the course of my life, not by design, but by being open to opportunity.